Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1056B. And today's date is August 23rd, 2016. And the title of the episode is, While No One Was Looking, the U.S. Just Set Up an Exclusion Zone in Northern Syria. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, we realize at this time that these private Western central bank governments, they want to spy on the people. Now, of course, they're using the story that they need to get rid of encryption because of terrorism. And we start to realize that really what they want to do is not spy on those terrorists, but spy on the everyday person. And what's blocking them is encryption. And this is why the founding fathers decided to create the rights of the people, because back in the day when the British government controlled the area, they were able to enter anyone's house and look through it. Don't put a lock on your door. We have the right to go in and look at all your information. Today, well, we have the rights where they say they can't come in to our homes without a warrant. I know in some instances, the police and other organizations, they're not really getting warrants, and they're just going into people's houses on their own. But we can see with electronic communication, they're trying to use that same excuse where, terrorists are using this form of communication, so we have the right to go and look at everyone's electronic communication, which is completely false. And people really get confused that, this is an electronic platform, so it's completely different than the paper platform. Well, no, it really isn't. You're still writing the same words. You still have the same information. It's just a different platform. And they're out there trying to convince us that terrorists are using this. Well, think about this for a second. If they can't read the encryption, how do they know they're using it? If they can't break it down and they can't look at it, they have no clue. How do they know they're not using paper or ciphers? They don't. This is all propaganda. But the French Interior Minister has met with his German counterpart, and they're going to unveil a plan to limit the use of encrypted messaging to combat terrorism. And they called for social media operators running encrypted services to cooperate with them so they can read all the information. And this is what they're trying to pass. And if you really think about it, if there is a terrorist group, do you really think they're going to use the social media platforms to communicate? Or do you think they'll develop their own encryption? Go back in time. Didn't terrorist groups or any organization or a rebellion or anything like that, when they wanted to communicate, they developed their own cipher so nobody could read it? They're not going to go to a public platform. It would make no sense. Again, this is propaganda. But we all need to protect ourselves and to show these governments, listen, I am allowed to be private. You do not have the right to read my information, to search my home, to search my cars. I am protected. And the only way to show the governments you are is to encrypt everything. It's to lock your house, lock your car, only allow them in when they have a warrant. Make sure they're not tracking you. You can use blockitpocket.com. It's a sleeve. It's intertwined with metals. You can slip your phone in there. You can slip your iPad in there. It blocks the signal. You can even put credit cards in there where people can't walk by with their scanners and read the RFID chip off the credit card and get your information. So there are many different ways. You can use encrypted email services. You can write your own encryption. Just go onto the internet. There's many different tutorials that will show you how to do it. But whatever you're doing, we need to show the governments, no, you cannot spy on the people. You do not have that right. Now, out in South Sudan, we understand the United States government central bankers, it was part of their plan to go into Sudan, capture the entire country, remove the elected government, put in a puppet government, and place the dollar on their natural resources, which is oil. And then they were going to go into Yemen, they were going to go into Libya, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and then end up in Iran. And as we can see, they're losing control of this entire agenda. Right now, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, he has urged the South Sudan leaders to get the job done by implementing the peace deal in full, or face UN arms embargo, sanctions, troops in South Sudan. It's amazing how the U.S. is so involved in this area. And the reason why they're so involved is because China is also there. There's a lot of oil there. And they want to place the dollar on their natural resources. And the United States, once again, is giving them an ultimatum. And of course, whenever they say this incredible peace deal, it's not always incredible for the other side. It's incredible for the United States. It's incredible for the elite, for the neocons. But for those in the country, it's never good. We see the United States is continually provoking North Korea, the United States and South Korea. They're moving forward with a planned military drill. Roughly 25,000 U.S. service members and some 50,000 South Korean. They've kicked off the drills. The war games will also include participants in Australia, Italy, Philippines, France, Denmark, Colombia, Canada, United Kingdom, and New Zealand. Right there next to North Korea. To provoke. They want North Korea to do something. North Korea is the wild card. They're hoping that they will do something. And if they don't, they can make it look like they did and say it was them. Just like they're telling everyone that North Korea hacked into Sony Pictures. And we know that was a complete false flag because we know it was a disgruntled worker from the inside who did the job. And remember, as soon as they come out and they tell you they know exactly who it is, it's a setup. Because to find an advanced actor, when they hack a certain system, they bounce this off many servers in many different countries. Actually, the origin doesn't even start in their country when they do the hacking. So when they tell you this, you know it's a complete piece of propaganda. We see the Russian Defense Ministry. They're looking to create a missile attack warning system. And they're going to be setting this up because the Russians are very nervous. Remember, NATO, the US, and the European nations, they have troops, military assets that are brought up right to the border of Russia. Can you imagine if Russia took its troops, their military assets, put them on the border of the United States, in Canada, and in Mexico? How would the United States people, the government, feel? They'd feel that Russia is getting ready to do something. And this is exactly how Russia feels. And if you notice, Putin continually tries to calm the situation down. Every time the neocons, the elite, the central bankers push for war, Putin tries to calm it down. China does the same. Because we know right now the United States government central bankers, they're running out of time. And as they run out of time and as the economy collapses, they're going to push harder and harder for war. Now, out in Libya, we see the situation is getting worse and worse for the United States government central bankers, because we can see already the parliament in Libya, they denounced the unity government. The unity government should be dissolved at this point. But the United States government central bankers and the coalition forces, they want Libya. They want to control it. They want the puppet government in there. And they're not going to stop. So the United States, they have begun using attack helicopters to target those individuals that oppose the puppet government, the unity government. So the Marine Corps, they're using AH-1W Super Cobra attack helicopters, and they have joined the operations. So we have jets that are coming in, bombing the area. They have Super Cobra attack helicopters flying in and bombing the area. We also see that Harrier jets are also being launched from ships to conduct strikes, because the people of this country need to understand when the United States government central bankers say you will have this puppet government, you need to listen. There's no freedom. There's no democracy. There's no elections. We will choose your government. We will tell you what to do. And that's exactly what the United States is doing. And we see them doing this in Yemen. The people do not want the puppet government in there. And the United States, through Saudi Arabia, their proxy army, they're hitting the people of Yemen. And it's not working out well there. And it's not going to work out well in Libya. The same thing's happening in Iraq. The Islamic State only has about 10% of the land in Iraq. What's happening right now is the U.S. is continually bringing in more and more troops into Iraq to control the people, to protect the puppet government. That's what they're doing. We see Turkey and Austria. Well, it looks like the bilateral cooperation, it has disappeared. So Turkey has withdrawn its ambassador to Austria for consultation, and it's going to start its review of its relations with the European country. And we can see that things are really breaking apart in that area. We see that Turkey is waiting for Iran to okay a huge power deal. And this power deal is a $3 billion investment to build a 5,000 megawatts of power infrastructure. And they're just waiting for the go-ahead in Tehran to seal the deal. So we see Turkey right now is making deals with Iran, making deals with Russia, and you can see how they're doing an about face. Now, should we just trust Turkey that they're going to do the right thing? No. Because we see certain things happening. Just like the bombing during the wedding, they said the child bomber was from the Islamic State. They had no evidence. They just came out and said it. And then all of a sudden, Turkey is going back on its claims that a child bomber was linked to the Islamic State. They're saying that they really have no clue who's behind the attack. Now, I don't know if Russia came down and said, listen, how did you gather the evidence so quickly to point the finger at who is responsible for this? Well, they didn't have enough time. Again, when a government comes out and they know exactly who it is, without that group telling you that it was them, because the Islamic State did not come out and say this, it is pure propaganda. And then you have to look at who controls the group. The Islamic State is controlled by Turkey, United States government, the coalition forces. So we knew right off the bat it was completely all propaganda. We see Turkey is firing into Syria because some shells hit into Turkey. Now, we've seen this before where Erdogan said, okay, the Islamic State is firing us, so we're going to fire back into Syria. Now, I still haven't seen Turkey close its borders with Syria. I know it has to be cleansed of the Islamic State, but they haven't gone to the next level. They haven't closed the border. There are no international observers on the border. And that would be a huge sign that they are now closer to Russia and Iran. They are actually fighting the Islamic State. So until they do that right now, they're still supporting them. We see the United States and the coalition forces, they have caused $2 billion to Syria's oil and gas industry. They've also destroyed the infrastructure, roads, bridges, factories, schools, hospitals. And they really don't care that they destroyed all of this, because you have to remember how the central bankers do business. They make money during the war, and they make money after the war because they loan all the money to rebuild everything. Because governments are broke, and they need to go to the central banks, the private Western central banks, and they need to take out loans to rebuild everything. And this is why during a war, everyone says, well, they're going to destroy a lot of things. We're going to lose a lot of money. No, the central bankers always make out. We see that John Kerry and Sergei Lavrov, they might meet in September. They might iron out the last details. But we're getting word from a U.S. general, Lieutenant General Stephen Townsend, who downplays the chances of a joint U.S.-Russia military operation. He's fairly skeptical of the whole entire deal, and they're saying that the Obama administration, not the Pentagon, will make the final decision if the United States government central bankers cooperates with Russia. But we can see at this point, Russia has been asking the United States to cooperate to fight terrorism since the beginning, since Russia was invited in by Assad. And the United States has continually said, no, no thank you, no thank you. Well, the Islamic State is our proxy army. We don't really want to fight our proxy army. We want our proxy army to create chaos in the region, and we want to remove Assad. That's why the United States never joined in. And Russia knows this. We see right now the UK is now calling for a safe zone in Syria. They're saying that the UK armed forces could play a role in protecting civilians in Syria by enforcing a no-bomb zone. I like they keep calling it all different names. It's a safe zone, it's a no-bomb zone, a no-fly zone. And this was the plan from the beginning. We discussed this many, many times before. So what has happened here? Well, while no one was looking, the United States created what they're calling an exclusion zone. And yes, they have created it. How did they do it? As soon as they told the Syrian forces, the Syrian jets, the Russian jets, you are not allowed in this area, they have created a zone where there's no bombing, no flying, and it's excluded from battle, from the war. And it's separate and apart. So right now, the Pentagon is out there saying that it is an exclusion zone, but it's completely different than a no-fly zone. But realistically, it's the same thing. So their plan from the beginning was to create these, and they just have done it. Because what they want is to separate Syria into different areas. The Kurds, the Shiite, the Sunni. And as soon as they did this, their plan is now in motion. And they're already giving warnings to Syria. Remember, the United States was never invited into this country. They invaded this country. And now they're separating the country. We're going to have to see what Syria and Russia does and what their next move is. We see there's a travel warning in Iran. The State Department says U.S. citizens are at risk when they travel to Iran, and this replaces the travel warning that was dated back on March 14th of 2016. And every time they have some type of travel warning, we know something is about to happen. We see the Islamic State is out there, and they are pushing propaganda that lone wolves, they should use household items to attack the West. Use things like paper clips, bats, drills, staplers. Now we know this is all propaganda. We know the lone wolves is really operatives who are standing by to push the next event. They're waiting for the green light. And when the central banks, the U.S. government, when they are ready, they will tell these operatives, it is time. They will get the signal for the go-ahead. And this is where we're going to see not just one attack, but we're going to see an event on the scale of 9/11 plus about 100. The reason for it is because this time around, the entire system is collapsing. They need to start World War III. And remember, Germany was out there saying everyone needs to prepare. And this is a warning. And for some reason, they always like to leak the information out. They always like to tell people what's about to happen. And let's just take this a little bit further. We know that there's going to be a main event. We know there's going to be a hit in the power infrastructure. We know there's going to be a hit in the financial institutions. We know there's going to be capital controls, a bank holiday. We know there's going to be physical attacks around the world. And all of this is to push war. And the German press agency, DPA, which cites a confidential document prepared by the government, according to which the government is considering bringing back nationwide conscription in times of crisis. Wait, they're going to reinstate the draft just in case there's another crisis? That's exactly what they're going to do. If there is a major security threat in the future, there's a catastrophe, and Germany's being attacked, they will start drafting individuals. There's already a draft bill in the United States Congress floating around. As soon as the event occurs, all of a sudden, that draft bill will proceed to the House, to the Senate. It will be signed, and this way the U.S. will be able to draft people. And remember, men and women will be drafted into the armed forces. Each and every one of these countries, they are preparing for war. They're preparing for an economic collapse. They're preparing for riots. And we are getting closer and closer to that point in time. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.